Iburu, Iboya, Ibo, Chiche, everybody. How is y'all walk going today? Today, we're going to be speaking about Echu Eleggua. And before getting into and jumping into asking Echu Eleggua for favors and things of that nature, we need to know how to properly greet him first, or any Orisha or Santo for that matter. But today, since we're speaking about Echu Eleggua, I'm going to show you a proper greeting before we get into going to demanding and asking from Echu Eleggua. This is one that I like to go to, and there are numerous greetings out there. Echu Eleggua. Oka Gobo Gobo Na Merin Ita. And like I said, there are numerous of greetings out there. But this is the first thing that should be said when you address Echu Eleggua, before we even get into asking for things. And before we even get into the prayer, we need to first greet him. Then second, we say the prayer just out of recognition and also to call forth the positive energies from these prayers. And there are numerous of prayers out there, but this is just one that I like to use. Alaguana Saba Ni Mulo Na Buruku Ni Toshi Le Concho Kuele Ki Uko Oki Kosi Iku Kosi Aro Ni Oro Ko Ni Gobo Gobo Omo Nile Fukuko Modupe Baba Mi Eleggua. And like I say, there are numerous of prayers out there for Echu Eleggua, but this is just one that I like to go to. So the first thing that I'm showing you guys is to how to go about greeting Echu Eleggua, and then also how to pray to him. And then we go ahead and dive into our conversation of our favors that we need from him, the things that we need to speak with him about, or that we need help, etc., etc. It's just building a much more intimate way of communicating with the Orisha or Santo, because a lot of times get asked often how to go about forming a relationship with an Orisha or Santo. And this is one of the first things that you need to form is knowing how to greet and also the prayer. So now we're going to take our time to look at the who, what, when, where, and why. Like how we all grew up learning the 5 W's. And with the who, we're going to be speaking about who Echu Eleggua is. For the what, we're going to dive into like his purposes, what he does. Then we're also going to go into the when, as far as when he did arrive here on earth, and the where he's done some of his great attributes as to why he's known what he's known for today, etc., etc. And then the why is he here? So we're going to get into explaining and describing the reason as to why Echu Eleggua is here on earth, and also why he's also looked at and perceived over certain matters. Who is Echu Eleggua? Man, Echu Eleggua is so many different things. But right now, for the sake of time, we're going to go over 2 different patakis that exemplifies and shows who Echu Eleggua is and some of the things that he does. The first one being out of the Odu Ofunyeku, where it shows that he's a road opener. Because here in this situation, there was an elderly lady, and she was a merchant, had a business of selling obis, which are coconuts. And here at this time, her business was doing quite well. I mean, business booming. But like a lot of times in life, when business is booming, it also has its moments where it slows down. But here in Ifa, when we pay attention, listen to Arula's advice, we're able to see a constant growth in our business. And it's not staggered like a roller coaster where it goes ups and down. That's the purpose of the reason for coming to Ifa. So the lady came and got a consultation because she realized her business was slowing down, and some of her friends advised her, "Hey, go see Orumila for Osode." When she gets there, this Odu comes down, Ofunyeku. In it, he tells her, "You've had a lot of okiki okua osum, which is like envy towards your business, and people putting negative eyes on your business, which now has affected it. It says here that if you do it both, it'll help your situation, and Echu Eleggua will help you with this matter." So the lady goes, "My business is doing well. It's been doing well. Yeah, it's not doing like the greatest that it has been doing, but it's still doing well. So no, I'm good. I don't need to do it both." And she left. So then now, because of that, Echu Eleggua saw that he wasn't fed, so he just turned his back to helping her. So then now, because of that, word started spreading and getting around town from the likes of Echu Eleggua, because he didn't help stop it, because he didn't get fed, because she didn't do it both, so he didn't help stop the misspreading of the information. So then now her business completely slows down. Now she has a choice, but business owners, they typically know they don't have multiple choices when it comes to, if your business slowing down, you know you need to go ahead and take heed and take action. So she goes ahead and goes back to Orumila. She does the ebo. As she does the ebo, Echu Eleggua looks at her, winks at her, and say, "Don't even worry, my baby, I got you." He goes out, start putting the message out there to everybody. "Hey, you see them obies? Hey, them best obies around." And everybody started going back to her and buying the coconuts in the obies, and that's how her business started returning back to doing well. The next pataki here is out of the Odu Iworigunda. And it shows here how Echu Eleggua is a magician. And there's a plethora of different Odus that shows where Echu Eleggua is a magician. But this one in particular is with Orumila and Ogun and also Olodumare, who, for the people who are now coming to learn about Ifa, Olodumare is God in Yoruba. So here you have it, and this Odu is with Ogun, and Ogun is wanting to do Ifa at this time, but he's having difficulty with allowing Baba Orumila, allowing him to consecrate and do Ifa. So now, because of this, he keeps pleading, telling him no. So then he goes ahead and goes to Olodumare, who's God, and he tells him what's going on. Olodumare finally have enough of it, and he gets the council together to tell Orumila, "Hey, you need to go ahead and do Ifa to Ogun." So then Orumila goes ahead and he tells Olodumare, "I'm going to do it because I'm obedient to you. But you need to understand and mark my words that you will end up basically regretting this." So now Orumila goes ahead and does Ifa to Ogun. In the midst of doing Ifa to Ogun during the ceremony, a war breaks out. And as the war breaks out, Ogun leaves to go attend to the matter because Ogun is the deity of war. So he goes and handles the matter. And when he comes back to the house, he's victorious. So now he has a enormous amount of gift, a good amount of abundance and wealth, because that was one of the reasons why Ogun wanted to do Ifa, because he was struggling. So now that he's won his war, he has Ifa, he has wealth, he now starts to think about how Rumila didn't want to give him Ifa. And so because of that, he decides to go ahead and tells his soldiers, go set war and go burn Orumila's house. Orumila had just did Osode on himself and saw that it told him that he needs to prepare and get ready for war. So Orumila wakes up early that day. As Ogun and his soldiers wake up the next day to get ready for the war and send them out to war, Orumila does the Ebo that morning. And in the Ebo, it tells him that he needs to go ahead and paint his house white. Because when Ogun sent the soldiers, Ogun told the soldiers to look for the house, the black house with the palm trees in front of it. The Ebo told Baba Rumila to use Efum, which is Cascadia. And in that, Echu Eleggua was able to paint Orumila house white by using the Efum. So when Ogun soldiers went to go attack, Ogun already told them look for the black house. And by doing that, because Baba Orumila house was painted white, Echu Eleggua used the charcoal from the Ebo that Orula had did and painted the house next to his black. And it ended up confusing the soldiers of Ogun. So when they set the house on fire, God came running to his house because he smelled the smoke. And when he saw the smoke, he instantly knew that it was because from the enemies. And that's when he saw that it was Ogun soldiers. And from that situation, God then condemned Ogun to be over wars, and that he would be basically at the beck and order of the other Orishas in their time of need as well, and also human beings. This is part of the reason why, as well, as people say that people are ungrateful towards Ogun and ingratitude. This is because of the offense Ogun showed Baba Orumila because Orumila did defile him. And instead of thanking him, he decided to greet him with war. And if it wasn't for Echu Eleggua coming in and helping Baba Orumila house would have been on fire. But because Orumila lives next to Olodumare, because Orumila is the first person to greet Olodumare in top of the day, that's the reason why Orumila lives next to God. So that's the reason why God's house ended up getting set on fire, because it lives next to Orumila. And although Echu Eleggua isn't able to create and build things, he has the ability to make things appear to something that they're not. Like I said, there's a plethora of different Odus and Patakis that show where Eleggua is a role opener and he's also a magician. But these two really stick out to help us see and get an understanding of who Echu Eleggua is. Now we're going to be discussing what is Echu Eleggua. Echu Eleggua has a plethora of different characters and titles, but today we're going to be speaking about him being a protector and also assistant / helper. The first one being the protector, it is out of the Odu Iwori Bere. Where in the Odu Iwori Bere, Orumila was contracted to go out of town to do some ebos. But before his travels, he gave himself a consultation. Towards the end of his Oso day, it came down that he needed to do a number of ebos because amongst his travels, he would come across conflict on the way. The ebo called for it to be done immediately. Then Orumila gets ready and prepares to head out the door to go ahead and get the animals for his ebo. There's a gentleman there knocking. Orula answers the door. The gentleman goes, Orula, I need a consultation. Orula goes, you're going to have to come back another time. I got to go get these animals because I got to do ebo. The guy continues to please, Orula, please. Orula goes, man, you must be in dire need if you constantly begging me like this. I understand. So he gives him the Oso Day. When the gentleman gets the Oso Day, that same Odu that came down for Orula came down for the gentleman. And that's where Orula describes to him, hey, you got to get these animals, these other ingredients. And the guys go, this is a lot. No, I'm good, and leaves. Because the guy felt like Orula was trying to get over on him on the pricing and all these different animals. He went and told the king of that town that Orula robbed him. So as the king gets his soldiers, along with the guy that felt like he was robbed, to go look for Orula. At that time, where they get to the nearby point where the guy who felt like he was robbed knew where Orula lived at, he starts telling him it's right here. But then the soldiers and the king all look at each other and go, there's nothing here except sticks, plants, and a bunch of rocks. You know what? For wasting our time, the king tells the guy that felt like he was robbed that he was a liar and ordered the soldiers take him into custody and also execute him. What had happened was Echu Eleggua, from getting fed his animals from Orumila, from doing the ebo, covered up Orumila house with Ewe Pika Pika, which is Ewe Inya, along with the sticks, is what covered up Orumila house so that they weren't able to figure out where Orumila house was. That's why in this Odu is depicted and showed that Echu Eleggua is a protector, because he has the ability to make shift and make things appear to something that they're not, like it showed in the last slide. Now, we're going to speak about here how he's an assistant and also a helper. In this Pataki, out of the Odu Oturpon Birete, there was a farmer who was working on a house on his land. And as he was building, it was like a homeless guy that was walking by. When he saw the farmer working, he goes, "Hey, can you help me? I need some food." The farmer goes, "Well, if you help me, I help you." The elderly man goes, "Okay." So he starts to hold up the frame of the house for the farmer so the farmer could continue doing some other workings. So then the farmer goes, "Let me get you that food." So as he goes in the back, he goes ahead and he looks for some okra. He sees there that the okra that was in the front was the real good premium okra that sold for the big bucks. He said, nah. Let me get this homeless guy, this guy that's helping me, some okra that's in the back. About 10 to 15 minutes had went by now, and he's only halfway to that side with the okra he was going to give the elderly man or the homeless man. So he goes ahead and he finally gets it. By this time, it's already been about 20 minutes that it went by. The homeless man goes, "Oh, he's taking me like a fool like everybody else." And he leaves. And he stops holding up the main beam of the house. Because of that, the house collapses. About another 20, 30 minutes go by. The guy finally gets back and he sees that the house had collapsed and fell. And this happened because it speaks to how Echu Eleggua is. Echu Eleggua will help you as long as you help him. Echu Eleggua really doesn't like to be taken advantage of. So that's why sometimes you hear people speak negatively about Echu Eleggua, and it's not so much that he's negative, it's just he's an exact reflection of how your subconscious is. Now we're going to be going over the wind. When going over the wind, we're going to discuss Echu's Isalaye, which is the Odu that he came down from heaven to the earth, and also why Echu Eleggua is known as the owner of the door and also the doorkeeper. The Odu in which Echu Eleggua came down to earth is Obedendi, also referred to as Obeyate. And then Baba Yobe is when Echu Eleggua received the owners of the door and also known as the doorkeeper. Because here in this Odu is when the Lofi was sick and his son, needing to get a cure for his father, has tried multiple attempts but could never get the remedy of the cure until one day he was walking around sad and he came across Echu Eleggua. And Echu Eleggua looks at him and goes, "Is everything okay?" Alofi's son begins to tell him the reason why he's sad is because his father is sick and he has tried multiple ways, recipes and ingredients to cure his father, and he was not able to come up with the remedy. Until Echu Eleggua told him, "I'll be able to help you." Echu Eleggua gave him the remedy of which he needs to do and told him that when you go to the beach, there's going to be a fat woman there. And underneath this fat woman, hold the secret ingredients there that would cure your dad. But he told him, you're going to have to fight this fat woman in order to get it. So his son listens to Echu Eleggua's advice, goes to the beach, and retrieves the secret ingredients. As he goes back and cures and heals his father, who's a Lofi, they go looking for Echu Eleggua. When they get to Echu Eleggua, a Lofi then asks him, what is it that you desire? Echu Eleggua said, what I desire is to be the owner of the door and also the keeper of the door. So then that way when people come and go, they always have to salute me, Echu Eleggua. So now let's take a look where Echu Eleggua shows us where he's a caretaker of a Lofi's palace and also where he helps the sun, moon, and the stars. The first one, Okana Turpon, where he's the caretaker of a Lofi palace. A Lofi leaves to go handles his affairs, and while he's going from his palace, he leaves Echu Eleggua as the caretaker. But this time as he leaves, a few other Orisha stop him. Hey, Alofi, you know why you're gone. Echu Eleggua is mocking you and making fun of you. Alofi tells them that can't be. They proceed to tell Alofi, oh, it's very true. So Alofi goes ahead and digests the information that he just heard. One day, as Alofi leaves out of the palace, he stops. He turns back around. And as he enters his palace, he hears chatter and laughter coming from afar. He then steps further inside of his palace and he notices that the laughter and the noise is coming from where his throne is. As he opens up that door, he sees Echu Eleggua sitting there mocking him. As the other Orisha sees Alofi as well as Echu Eleggua, everything stops and Alofi begins to render Mufodibale to Alofi. Alofi then tells Echu Eleggua to stop. No, I see how you truly feel. I give you an important position and you're here mocking, making fun of me. Because of these actions, I now demote you to porter of the house. Since that position is now open, Trango goes to Alofi and asks him for it. Alofi looks at Trango and says, Echu Eleggua is your friend. Instead of you defending Echu Eleggua, you're coming to me asking for his position. Because of this, I now condemn you to live life in war and negative situations. Alofi then knows that he needs to fill this position, thinks of an Orisha. And that's when he determines that Baba Rumila is the one that would then fill the position. But then Orula tells him, no, I am flattered, but I cannot take it. Alofi then makes it that Baba Rumila is the caretaker of his palace. So I just give this pataki to show that Echu Eleggua is viewed as a very important person when it comes to the Orishas and the Santos in Ifa. The next one is Obeyono. And this is where the sun, the moon, and the stars went for Osode with Baba Rumila. And when they went for the consultation, the Odu Obeyono came down. And that's when Baba Rumila told them that they're going to be very famous and needed, and the people are going to want them down on earth, but that they needed to do some spiritual work in their bow so that they would not run into problems when they got to earth. They all did their bow except the moon. So when they descended and came down to earth, the moon would show up. Everybody would see him and love him. And then time passed on. And as time passed on, Echu Eleggua got the account of who all did their bow down there on earth. And as the negative situations, the Osogbos was coming to play for the sun and the stars, Echu Eleggua looked out for him and stopped the negativity in the Osogbo from happening. But when it came to the moon, he knew that the moon didn't do a bow. And because of this, Echu Eleggua couldn't help him because Echu Eleggua works on the merit, you take care of me, I take care of you. So because the moon didn't do a bow, because he felt like he shines and he's so beautiful and everybody loves him that he wouldn't have any problems. This is the reason why the moon only shows in its full power a full moon once a month because of his disobedience. Now that we're here, let's take a look at the why. As to why Echu Eleggua is known for some of the names and positions that we know him as or that we have him as today in the world. And the first one being Owani Chobe. And this Pataki out of Owani Chobe, this is where Echu Eleggua himself had put on a hat one day. And the hat was a two-tone hat, half red, half black. And in this Pataki, he's walking down the street. And this is where two friends were standing out on the porch. They both were looking at the road that Echu Eleggua was walking down. One friend was to the left of Echu Eleggua, the other friend was to the right of Echu Eleggua. So one turns to the other and says, "Hey, you see that guy walking down the street?" The other friend goes, Yeah. The one with the red hat. The friend to the left, he sees Echu Eleggua wearing a black hat. So now they're going into conflict because he says, "No, the guy's wearing a red hat." And the other friend to the left is saying, "No, he's wearing a black hat." So now they get into conflict and commotion and they begin to argue. And because of this, they get into such a big argument to where it split up the friendship. Now, like I say, this also shows here that Echu Eleggua is a trickster. But at the same time, not every friendship or relationship that end is that of something negative. Because if two friends can get into a huge argument and fall out with each other just because of misjudgment of character or eyesight, then that lets you know that they are not really friends. And the second Pataki out of the Odu Iworibusa is where Echu Eleggua, because of his merits, ended up becoming the owner of traps and also of the roads. So you guys see here now, through multiple different Patakis and Odus of Echu Eleggua and his existence here on earth and how he comes to our help and aid, as well as to if he doesn't help us with our matters, it's because we're not helping ourselves first by first taking care of him so that he can take care of us.